Abusia me pacho me ma obi bia akwa baba channel so me pacho and the Speaker of Parliament are holding media engagement. Now holding media engagement in Oma akwenya ma media practitioners ni bin so bisa no question. Now questions no bisa ni bin say Supreme Court ama order say those 4 vacancies omo sambra back to Parliament. And again no enkofo ka say we interpret the law and it is not within your jurisdiction, also your domain to interpret the law. Or saying. And the Speaker of Parliament P.A. Bontimbe can say matters relating another sign in some way, one man a ne lawyer no, and that's a woman make us a woman lawyer ni instruction into the lawyer no, ye sweduma. And also be ade to in some kind say even the Supreme Court to crown omonte Parliament say yes omonte Parliament say and the friend saying the executive in so no on Parliament omonso on Parliament na say na Parliament say no near more no almost so me guided by law provisions and procedures in Parliament. Now, no the only say just because you are guided by procedures and laws and understanding orders nintino. Asem no that's what courts. Courts ni ending we ni die or no ne die no or ye abide by or no ne die no indirectly or kase or no ruling now de ma ye no eno na eye adwuma because the lawyers court no enya reverse say on idea no that constitution no it is not about the order no but about the constitution. No say after your markings the court say Supreme Court emma interpretation was article no and I said I make an article no and I said that provision made by the law and I said made by the constitution, pardon me to say the law intimate patch says sanet dia and that's the Supreme Court no enyam fa ni interpretation by dia or ye abide by or no ruling no because the ruling no na eye procedure eye process and I say eye niema Parliament ankasa omoye into as it stands now no the Speaker of Parliament a confirm say the NDC and the NDC caucus no omo no majority yes because or say no ruling and all by the by na the order na Supreme Court for the ban until say Supreme Court omo be interpretation of that clause no and I said that article no no ruling no ana a holding ebusia me ma me kasa nyetinti yenko ni nkoti for ourselves na enye se me na meka nyankopon hia no nyo kesim dase bebre.
Okay, my name is Evans Oftulabi from TV SYZ and Power FM. Mr. Speaker, we want to know whether the 4 seats which were declared vacant still remain vacant.
Ms. Georgia is here and I'm with Ghana Web. By your ruling on the 17th, the 4 MPs were supposed to have vacated their seat and the court has ordered them to come back. What is your instruction to the clerk and those who are responsible? Are they going to be allowed to come into Parliament or no?
Thank you very much, rather Honorable Speaker. My name is Nana Kweku Bofa, and I work with Opimso Radio in Menchia, Kumasi. Speaker, you have been accused of interpreting 1992 Constitution when you declare the 4 seat vacant. Speaker, I want to know, did you do so? Thank you.
You're talking about the same matter using different words. But that is before the Supreme Court. And I've given instructions to my lawyers to handle that. So that is not for me to comment on. My lawyers are handling that. So all questions I would draw your attention to is that the practice and procedure of Parliament is unknown to many, including the court. And anything I do on the floor
I refer to the standing orders. The courts can declare the standing orders as unconstitutional or unlawful or whatever. Until that is done, as the presiding officer, I'm bound on issues of procedure, proceedings, and practice, apply those rules. And that is what we did. That is why in my statement, I drew your attention to the fact that what I did on the floor was just sharing of information, communicating to the members that this issue that was raised, and by the standing orders, I have options. Could have set up a committee to go through it and submit a report. That report could even lead to legislation. Or I could go and inquire into it myself and then come and inform the House of my findings. That is in the standing orders. That is what I said is being construed to mean ruling. In our parliamentary practice, you don't make ruling when statements are made. Statements are commented upon. But the nature of the subject matter was debatable. And because of its importance, I had to give room for many more members to comment. By trying to comment, they debated it. So that was what happened. But I'm clear as to my rule. Just inquire into it, come and share with the House in the form of information what your findings revealed. And that was all what I did. I did not make any order. Go and read the proceedings. I did not make any order. And for my friend, the veritable Honorable Oseche Mensah Bonsu, I'm sure he showed you the evidence where we had that discussion. He disagreed, and I supported him. And now I have made a U-turn. I thought you should have asked him when my predecessor made the ruling, whether his side disagreed with him and allowed the same member, who is now second deputy speaker, to continue to sit, or his seat was vacated. Did they agree with him or disagree with him? You should have asked him. So that one, he will need to produce evidence to show that this is what happened. I don't know where we sat and held a discussion, or it's on the floor and the official reports are there for you to go and read, whether I got up and in my contribution disagreed with my predecessor. That is for you to make your findings on. And decided cases. A parliament that understands, reflects, and embodies the will of the people and defends its constitutional prerogatives only works in the interest of Ghana and Ghanaians. Not a rubber stamp parliament subservient to the whims and caprices of the executive and or the judiciary. Again, I strongly believe that Parliament was one of the institutions President Barack Obama had in mind, the indispensable function of holding the president to account. That is the oversight function. No other person or body has the gravitas and constitutional mandate to do so in Ghana. The public, media, civil society, and other partners in governance can make constructive inputs and criticize actions and omissions of arms of government. But these bodies are not constitutionally
and legally structured and mandated to hold the executive to account. Parliament is elected. It is, at its best, the will of the people, legally and constitutionally structured and mandated to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, my dream, therefore, is a patriotic one. The existence of a firm, effective, efficient, and responsive parliament whose members place national and constituency interests ahead of narrow partisan or personal interests. At last, this is yet to materialize in Ghana. Parliament weakens itself when its members keep running to our courts to settle or seek favorable determinations of not just legal matters, but essentially political and governance questions. It is my strong belief the matter before the Supreme Court can be settled within Parliament through matured deliberations and compromises. Please, make no mistake. Not all the strong men President Obama warned us about come in military uniforms. Some come dressed in suits. I hope in my lifetime, Ghana shall have a parliament and a speaker who are truly independent from Jubilee or Flagstaff House or any headquarters in the conduct of parliamentary business. Let me state unequivocally, Parliament owes its duty to the people who established and elected its members to serve and represent them. The wheels of Parliament will continue to turn, and no person will be allowed to disrupt parliamentary proceedings or to undermine the democratic mandate of Parliament. When I ruled in January 2021 on the issue of which side constitutes majority and minority in Parliament, the ruling was in favor of the majority group then. It was not an act of lawlessness as to cause constitutional crisis. When I ruled in the matter of the vacation of seats by Honorable Kennedy Ajapong, Honorable Henry Korte, and Honorable Sarah Adjoa Safo, the question of the interpretation of the Constitution was not raised. When my predecessor declared the former seat vacant in 2020, applying the same provisions of Article 97, the original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court to interpret and enforce provisions of the Constitution was not invoked. Peace reigned in these instances, and nobody cried and ran to the Supreme Court under the guise of constitutional interpretation. If I may ask, is it a legal matter for the Supreme Court to decide as to which side of the House constitutes the majority or minority? It is for good reason that justice is said to be blind, and further, that justice must not only be done, but must be seen to be done in all cases, not in only those cases to which some people appear to be sentimentally attached. Fellow Ghanaians, I respectfully call on the Supreme Court to apply the same swiftness with which the motion ex parte in the instant matter was granted to the case involving the president's refusal to receive the Human Rights and Family Values Bill passed by Parliament, which has been pending before the same court for almost a year without being heard. Of Parliament from serving their constituents for 12 weeks, but was very eager to deny the constituents of Assin North their representation because of the issue of allegiance. The court cannot deny the constituents of Sal the sanctity of representation for years. The court cannot even see that the Constitution itself permits a denial of representation within 3 months to the holding of a general election. It's in the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, the Parliament of Ghana shall commence sitting as by law prescribed from tomorrow, November 7th, 2024. I have earlier instructed the clerk to Parliament to transmit the LGBTQ plus bill to the President for assent. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I'm aware of the business the government wants to transact through Parliament. And I'm willing to cooperate and collaborate with government. Despite all that I have said, Ghana first. And all Ghanaians should bear the President, Parliament, the judiciary, and all our leaders in prayer for the betterment of our people and country. With this, I thank you all for your attention. Assalamu alaikum. Submit the bill to the President. I'll leave it at that. The second one, please, it's not part of the duties of a speaker to decide where an MP should sit in Parliament. It's not my duty. That determination in Ghana's situation, in various parliaments, these things we are talking about, majority side, minority side, don't exist any longer. That's why in my ruling I use the term old school. The British model, government, opposition, benches, and a carpet in between them. And so when you are shifting your political lineage, you have to cross that carpet to the other side. And that is why you have the term carpet crossing. Our parliament is not arranged in the form of government and opposition. And Ghana don't like the term opposition. So we decided to adopt the terms from the United States of America, majority and minority. So you can even sit anywhere. But the numbers determine who is majority and who is minority. But in our parliament, the practice is for those who constitute majority to sit at the right side of the speaker, and those who constitute minority to sit at the left side of the speaker. That is because after independence in 1957, we adopted the Westminster system, which is practiced in the United Kingdom. But we changed that, even to the extent that the arrangement of the floor of the House is in a horseshoe. So it's not always the case that the people to the left side are all members of minority. That's not the case now. And there's good reason behind this. As in the textbooks, The determination, therefore, in our situation, as to who constitute majority or minority, is a question of numbers. As to where they sit, is the determination first of the political parties who influence who should lead the caucus or party wing in parliament. They, after various consultations, decide that these 5 people should occupy these positions in leadership. And so they are given the chairs in front. Then in consultation with them, the 5 leaders, they determine who should sit behind them. Because as a leader, you need somebody that you have trust, confidence in, who has the capacity, so that when you are in some difficulty or you have a challenge, you can just lean over and listen to his or her whisper. So you have a say as to who sits behind you. The speaker is not involved in this. The whips, particularly the chief whips, lead in trying to identify who should sit behind. And it also has to do with years of experience in the house, and also the issue of gender and other professional backgrounds, until you get to those who are at the back. Even though we don't sit on benches, we still use the term backbenchers. The speaker is not involved in this. After they have agreed on it, they then get in touch with the parliamentary service through the clerk, who will get his officer at the table, together with the marshal, and they will get the names, print them, and place them on the various tables as decided by the various caucuses. The speaker don't come in this. Please. How can you call speaker to come and decide where people should sit? It's not part of my duties. Number 3. I will plead with you. Go and look at that letter. He's the Attorney General. He did his service in Parliament here. I was leader then, when he was doing his service here. Yes. So I know him very well before he became Attorney General. Read that letter carefully. And that's one of the things they are missing. There's vast difference between Parliament as an institution and the office of the Speaker. The Speaker is the party before the Supreme Court, not Parliament. So as Speaker, when the Attorney General is taking a different position from my position, I should still contract him as my counsel. I will leave it at that. Once I'll meet the Attorney General and I'll tell him my peace of mind on some legal issues and pronouncements he made at the Supreme Court. You know, Attorney Generals must be respected as learned. But it should not be part of what Obama referred to. Not me. It will not work. Number 4. As for the terms they use against me, it's part of the hazards of the work. We're doing everything as leaders, not to bring up our youth to believe that indecent intemperate, insulting, and offensive language is the way to go. But people interpret freedom of speech to mean that freedom of speech without responsibility. You can just use any word. But you know how offensive it is to you yourself or your parents when it's used against your father or mother. But for me, what I believe in is that you reap what you sow. That one, nobody can run away from it. I think the last question, I answered it. As to who is majority, who is minority, I made it clear to all of you. It's not a function or duty of the Speaker.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. We will take the next tranche. I see Ahmed, the Director of Media Relations, is working to do that. Again,
thank you very
your
much.
name?
My name is Ahmed Usman Khalid, Imam Zakaria, Gurguruwe. No, I have to pick the Constitution. Please, I bet mine. Yes. Can you open Article 1 or 2? I just want to quote what the Chief Justice read in Supreme Court in the absence. My name is Ahmed Usman Khalid, Imam Zakaria.
Ebusia me patcho me do bibia se wajemre no akonya video news bin so eti nyakup anase audio na eti nyakup nhia no nya okese ye de nkomo ni besia. Stay tuned for more updates. Me da se bebre.